Most people book the wrong cruise line, not because it's cheap, not because it looks exciting, but because they don't realise one simple truth. And it's why some cruise lines, despite looking amazing on paper, completely fail to deliver once you're actually on board. I've worked on cruise ships for years. I've seen what works, what fails, and what flat out tricks people into booking. So today I'm going to rank the major cruise lines from worst to must try based on what really matters. So let's start at the very bottom with Costa Cruises. Here's the myth. Costa is like the European version of Carnival, a cheap, cheerful Mediterranean party with good food, lively decks, and a beautiful ship to take you there. But here's the reality. Costa is a cruise line that looks fun on the surface, but beneath that it's disconnected, it can be confusing at times, and a little bit disorganised. Now this is where the price track comes in. You'll see the fares, you'll be tempted, oh, £399 for a Mediterranean sailing. Surely it can't be that bad. It's not, but it's not good, and that's where people get caught out. Costa sells the dream of budget cruising, but the reality is, once you're on board, that savings doesn't feel like a win. It kind of feels like a compromise. From the moment you board, something just feels off. Not wrong, just off. You queue for everything, you wander the ship and you find loud, bright, almost shopping mall-like lounges with very little atmosphere. You go to dinner and realise this ship wasn't designed for your experience. It was designed to serve everyone's, and that's the problem. Now let's talk about the food. Because Costa's biggest selling point for many is its Italian food at sea promise, you sometimes get cold plates in the dining room, buffets that felt a bit like ferry terminals at rush hour, beautiful restaurant decor with mystery meat mains and desserts that just felt a bit mass-produced. There were moments of promise, yes, a fresh pasta here and a very well-made coffee there, but food is about consistency, and Costa's food is anything but that. One night it's fine, and the next, it's just not consistent. And the problem isn't the ingredients, it's the execution. You feel like the kitchen's doing volume and not care, which I suppose they are, but other cruise lines do get this balance right. Now, let me be really, really clear here. The crew on every cruise ship work hard. I've worked on ships, I know the grind, but this isn't about the workers. This is about the cruise line that under the resources, it's your team. Service on Costa, it's not rude, it's not cold, it's just feels a bit distracted. You feel like you're interrupting someone who's kind of already behind. And after a while, I suppose you kind of just stop asking and you just stop expecting. You start doing the little thing that kills any good cruise. You just stop engaging. Now, Costa Cruises does entertainment a little bit differently, and it doesn't work for most UK or US cruisers. You'll see acrobats, interpretive dance shows, and sometimes even opera. But what won't you see? You're not going to see the story, emotion, connection. It's entertainment, but it's designed to appeal to everyone, which usually means that it's just connecting with nobody. The theatre is often half full, and the audience is, I suppose, quite quiet. It doesn't feel like a night out. It kind of just feels a bit like background noise. And when that's your main evening experience, it really does change the energy of your entire trip. So who is Costa Cruises actually for? Well, I suppose that's the £1 million question, because Costa isn't bad in any way, or not usually the way you would think. It's not falling apart, it's definitely not dangerous, and it's not rude. If you're European, multilingual, used to ferry-style travel with a side of sunshine, Costa might feel completely normal to you. But if you're from the UK or the US and you're expecting even a basic version of what you get from P&O Celebrity or Princess, you're going to be quite confused going on board. So my final words on Costa. The cruise line looks like value, but when you add up the food, the service, the entertainment, and I suppose the vibe of the ship, it costs you something far more important than money. It's going to cost you time. And that's why Costa Cruises is at the very bottom of this list. Final score, 2 out of 10. Now, up next is a cruise line with arguably better service, better food, and incredible entertainment. And yet, I still think you should ignore this. Yep, it's the Mouths. Let's talk about Disney. Now, here's a cruise line that gets everything right. The food is polished, the ships are spotless, the shows are top tier. And still, I'm telling you to ignore it. Disney Cruise Lines is not bad. In fact, it's dangerously good. So good that people book it without ever asking the most important question. Is this cruise actually for you? Because 90% of the cruisers, the answer's gonna be no. Let's start with the pricing. A Disney cruise can easily cost you double or triple what you spend on P&O, Royal Caribbean, or even Celebrity. And that's for an entry-level stateroom. Nothing fancy, no suite, no butler, no exclusive restaurant access. So what are you actually paying for on board? You're not paying for the experience, you're paying for the brand. Now, if you live and breathe Disney, if the idea of eating dinner while Goofy walks past makes your heart skip a beat, go for it. But if you're just looking for a premium cruise, there are better options. Disney gives you the illusion of a luxury product, but what you're really getting is a themed cruise with luxury pricing. Disney ships are beautiful, there's no doubt about that. But they're also designed entirely around families. And that means pools are crowded with kids, the shows are geared towards children, there's characters everywhere, the dining prioritises speed and safety over bold flavour, and there's also some quiet zones that still don't feel very quiet. There are adult-only spaces on board, and they are lovely. But here's the catch. You're still on a ship full of families, strollers, and Disney songs playing softly in the hallways. I mean, you're on a Disney cruise, what did you expect? But if you're not travelling with kids, you start to feel like a bit like an outsider. Not excluded, just not, I suppose, the target audience. And that feeling just follows you around the ship whilst you're on board. Disney's rotational dining system is extremely clever. You switch between 3 restaurants throughout the cruise, but you keep the same servers. They learn your preferences, they stay with your table, and it's actually really, really nice touch. But the food, well, it's solid, safe, and predictable. It's got great presentation, okay flavour, but very little innovation. But the real magic on board is in the theming. One night you're surrounded by screens that animate you as you eat. Another night you're in a space that looks like an old French palace. But strip the theming away and the menu just feels closer to an upmarked chain restaurant than a fine dining experience at sea. To get genuinely next level food, you're going to need to book specialty dining like Paolo or Remy, and those are all at extra costs. The shows on board Disney are amazing. We're talking about Frozen, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, with Broadway quality performers and just full-scale production value. I've got absolutely no complaints there. But here's the problem. That's all there is. If you're not into Disney stories or characters, you're going to struggle to find a show that hits emotionally. But if you're booked on a Disney cruise, what are you expecting? There's no comedy club, there's no late night variety acts. It's not entertainment for adults, it's just entertainment for families with a Disney wrapper. Now that's brilliant, that's great for the right person or right family. But if you're not that person, you're just left watching magic shows and musical numbers aimed at a 10-year-old. Disney doesn't actually have that many ships, which means their itinerary selection is very limited. Mostly the Caribbean, Bahamas, Alaska, and a few seasonal sailings into Europe or Australia. Still sounds quite nice though. Their private islands, Castaway Cay, is absolutely gorgeous, but one great beach day doesn't justify the price of an entire cruise. Now, if you're someone who cruises for the itinerary first, to explore ports, see the world, collect countries on your list, Disney's going to feel small. Like you're paying luxury rates to visit the same places just over and over again. Well, let's be fair. If you've got kids between the ages of 4 and 12, Disney's probably the best cruise that you can go on. The kids' clubs are phenomenal. The activities are non-stop and the memories are just priceless on board. And if you're a full-blown Disney adult, go for it. This is your dream. No judgment, genuinely, enjoy yourself. But if you're traveling without kids, you're looking for peace and quiet, or you're wanting some destination variety, or hoping for gourmet dining experience without the extra charges, Disney is not built for you. It's a magical experience for a specific crowd. Everyone else, you're just overpaying for someone else's nostalgia. Final word on Disney, there are cruise lines that look affordable but cost you a lot more than expected. Disney's the opposite. It looks luxurious, but delivers something else entirely. For the people it's designed for, it's perfect, but for most cruisers, it's not just overpriced, it's misaligned. And that's why I would say ignore Disney Cruise Line. Now, up next are two cruise lines that aren't flashy, but they quietly deliver some of the most consistently enjoyable cruise experiences I've ever had. Let's talk about Cunard and Celebrity. Cunard is not like other cruise lines, and they don't want to be. They're proud of their heritage, and they're proud of their formality. And proud to give you a cruise that feels more like a time capsule than a holiday. But here's the thing, that's both their greatest strength, but I suppose their biggest limitation. Cunard is built for people who love tradition. This isn't a cruise line chasing trends, and you won't find bumper cars, go-karts, skydiving simulators on a Cunard ship. However, what you will find is afternoon tea with white glove servers, classy music echoing through the grand lobby, and dress codes that actually get followed. And for some cruisers, that is a dream. For others, it's a big deal breaker. The Queen Mary 2 is still the world's only true ocean liner. Sailing on her between New York and Southampton isn't a voyage, it's a bucket list experience. And their newer ship, Queen Anne, blends modern design with enough nostalgia to make it feel timeless. Now, Cunard knows its audience, and when you're in that audience, they deliver exactly what you want. But here's what you need to understand before booking. Cunard is not for the casual cruiser. The vibe is slow, it's reserved, and it's extremely structured. So if you're used to spontaneous fun or want something energetic, Cunard will just feel empty. Production shows are very well done, but there's no comedy clubs, there's no trivia tournaments running every hour, and there's no pool deck dance parties constantly. You're going to find quiet refinement, not a buzz. And the food, it's really good. You expect premium, and you're going to get that. Specialty dining improves things. Steakhouse at the Veranda, for example, is really, really good, and I would recommend it. If you want to dress up, disconnect, and float across the Atlantic like you're in a period drama, Cunard is going to be absolutely perfect. However, for most other cruisers though, its beautiful decor is not a go-to. It's very good, but only for a very specific type of guest. And final score, 6 out of 10. Now I'm going to talk about a cruise line that's sleek, modern, and it's quietly delivering one of the best food experiences at sea. And this is Celebrity Cruises. Celebrity is the cruise line I suppose most people forget to talk about, and that is absolutely wild. Because if you strip away the noise, the gimmicks, and the water slides, Celebrity definitely delivers on some of the most consistent, premium cruise experiences at sea. It's not cheap, it's not wild, but it works. And it works really, really well. So why isn't it at the very top of the list? Well, let's get into it. Celebrity is built for people who know exactly what they want. You're going to step on board and you instantly feel it. Clean lines, calm energy. Now this isn't a party ship, it's a floating luxury resort without the snobbery. Everything on board feels dialed in. Public spaces are elegant but relaxed. Restaurants have actual ambience. Lounges don't blast music, they just hum along with your conversation. It's the luxury without the dress codes. The real stars of the fleet are Celebrity's Edge class ships. Edge, Apex, Beyond, and Ascent. These ships are beautifully designed. They've got smart features like the Magic Carpet, which is a floating bar or restaurant. They've got infinite verandas, controversial, but well, I'll come back to that. Everything is made to feel really intentional, and that's what makes it so satisfying. Now, the food on board is where Celebrity really surprises you. The main dining room is genuinely good. The buffet, it's clean, organised, and this is rare. It's still good after day 5. Even their pizza is really good. And cruise pizza is definitely the first thing to fall apart. Where Celebrity really shines through is their specialty dining. Restaurants like Fine Cut Steakhouse, Le Petit Chef, which is an animated show on your plate, or the Eden restaurant for something a little bit more experimental. I'd say the quality here rivals land-based restaurants, and while they are extra, I do feel like they're worth it. Even like casual venues like Cafe El Bacchio, which are great coffees and pastries, make you feel like you're on a real city break. It's really nice. But what is the catch? If you're someone who likes that non-stop Royal Caribbean energy, comedy clubs, karaoke, a bit of game shows every hour, Celebrity might feel a bit too quiet. Even their entertainment, while high quality, it leans more Broadway jazz than lounge and late night madness. Now, let's talk about the one feature that splits Celebrity fans right down the middle. On Edge-class ships, many balcony cabins don't have a traditional balcony at all. Instead, the entire room is extended with a floor-to-ceiling window that opens halfway down, turning your living space into a kind of balcony. Some people absolutely love it. More room, cleaner lines, better soundproofing. Others hate it. You lose that step outside feel, and the window doesn't always work like you want it to. So who is Celebrity perfect for? Well, it's for couples who want quiet sophistication, especially foodies who want something elevated, or cruisers who have supposed outgrown the party scene. Celebrity knows exactly its audience, and if you're in that group, you're going to be absolutely spoiled. You're going to feel taken care of without being hovered over. You're going to eat well, sleep well, cruise well. It's simple, and that's why it works. Final words on Celebrity? Celebrity isn't trying to impress everyone. It's not chasing TikTok trends or installing the tallest slide at sea. But if you're chasing thrills or traveling with young kids or want your cruise to feel like an amusement park, Celebrity is definitely not going to be in your lineup. Final score, 7 out of 10. Next, we're stepping into the must-try territory. 2 cruise lines that understand their audiences so well that they over-deliver at every single level. First up, P&O UK. You're not going to believe how much this cruise line gets right. P&O Cruises is exactly what happens when a cruise line actually listens. It doesn't chase trends, it doesn't pretend to be an American, and it doesn't try to be something that it's not. P&O just quietly delivers exactly what British cruisers want, and that somehow still gets overlooked in every top cruise line list out there. Well, not on this one, because for value, comfort, and consistency, P&O is one of the smartest cruise choices that you can make. Some cruise lines feel chaotic, some feel stuffy. P&O ships strike a balance that's really rare. They feel normal in the best possible way. You're not fighting to understand the announcements. Everything is practical, intentional, and just relaxed. You board, you breathe, and you just settle in, and suddenly you realise this cruise is just really easy. It's nice. P&O doesn't just cater to British cruisers though. It's built around them. UK plug sockets in the cabins. Proper tea. I mean in Yorkshire tea. That's included. Comedians who understand the humour of the Brits. Food that actually tastes like food you've had before. And no tipping required. It's already factored into your price. And this is why so many first-time cruisers choose P&O, and why so many people keep coming back and back and back. Now, Iona and Alvia are absolute game changers. So let's talk about the ships. P&O's newest builds, Iona and Alvia, are absolutely stunning. They're a big yes, but they also don't feel too overwhelming. They've got a sky dome that covers the pool, so the British weather isn't a problem. I know how bad that can get. There's gorgeous lounges and atriums for sea days. They've got great casual dining options. They feel a lot more modern, but also they're not trying too hard to be modern. They're clean, clever, and they're just full of hidden gems. Even the older ships like Britannia, Ventura and Azora still deliver on that familiar P&O experience. P&O doesn't pretend to be Michelin star, but it also doesn't disappoint. What you'll find is a strong main dining room rotation with solid British staples. Indian street food, burgers, pizzas, and a buffet that actually changes up day to day. And then they've also got their specialty dining. Sindhu is genuinely excellent. Some of the best Indian fusion I've had at sea. And the Glass House is a wine bar with small plates that wouldn't be sort of place in Soho. And it definitely leans into modern fine dining, but it keeps the portions realistic and the flavours very bold. And on the price front, well, it's one of the best food to fare ratios that you're going to find in cruising. You're going to be getting quality stage shows from the headliner theatre company, me. So this is why it's a must. Come and see me. They've got tribute acts that don't take themselves too seriously. They've got solid guest performers. And I suppose that classic cruise combo of live music, quizzes, and theme nights. It's enough to keep you engaged without overwhelming you. P&O isn't trying to wow you. It's trying to relax you. And once you've settled into the rhythm of cruising, it's exactly what you need for a cruising holiday. No cruise line does a better job of matching the British cruising mindset, and that's why I think P&O UK is a must try. Final score, 8.5 out of 10. Next up is a cruise line with no kids, no casinos, no chaos, and maybe one of the most relaxing ships in the entire world. Let's talk the Viking. The cruise line that strips everything away that doesn't matter, and it leaves you with everything else that does. Viking isn't the flashiest, it's not the biggest, but it might just be one of the best cruise lines on the planet, if you know what you're looking for. This isn't just a cruise, it's a reset, and once you try it, every other ship's just going to feel a little bit noisy. Viking is the most adult cruise line on the market. Literally. No kids allowed, no casinos, no photographers shoving you into awkward poses on embarkation day. You've got none of that. There's no theme nights, no dress codes. I suppose just no unnecessary announcements. Just a cruise designed around entirely one word. Intentional. Everything on board serves a purpose. Viking has a vision and it sticks to it. It's not trying to be everything for everybody. It's trying to be perfect for a very specific type of guest. And it works really well. When you cruise with Viking, your base fare includes beer and wine with lunch and dinner, Wi-Fi that works, daily shore excursions, and gratuities are already covered. In other words, the stuff you actually want paid for on a cruise are already included. Always. Now, I feel like I'm an old person in a young person's body because I love the quiet and chill. Now, the spa deserves its own moment. Viking's Nordic Spa is included in your fare. That means a real sauna, a real steam room, heated tile lounges, and the one that surprises everyone, a snow grotto. Yep, snow on a cruise ship. And it's shockingly rejuvenating and somehow one of the quietest, I'd say one of the most overlooked parts of this entire ship. Viking doesn't do massive buffets or loud dining rooms. What they do instead though is thoughtful, elegant dining with menus that reflects the destinations that you're going to. There's always a local dish tied to the port that you're visiting, but they also keep staples available for people who want something just a bit familiar. Now, there's one included excursion in every port, every cruise. And these aren't drive-by photo ops. Viking work with local guides who take you deep into the history and culture of each destination. They also offer optional excursions for an extra cost, but the included ones are genuinely worth doing, and that's really quite rare. So who is Viking for? Well, I would say Viking is aimed at adults over 40 who don't want chaos on their holiday, couples looking for meaningful travel, or solo travellers who want peace without a bit of awkwardness. Or, if you're like me, a young person in an old person's body. Just a beautiful ship, thoughtful service, and a cruise that feels like what a cruise should be. Final score, 9.5 out of 10. But maybe you're after a different kind of adult experience at sea. And if that sounds like you, I've got a video all about adult-only cruise ships. And let's just say it gets a bit interesting. So just don't watch this one when the kids are around.